Hi everyone, I'm a 42 male, and my wife, 40 female, and I have been married for 15 years. Last Thursday, she went out with some friends to a restaurant for a girls' night. This isn't very common, but these days her close friend from out of state was in town, and I've never had an issue with her having time with her friends. She got home late, seemed fine, and went straight to bed. The next morning, she was up early because of work, but I noticed she was acting a little off. She didn't say much, and I chalked it up to her being tired. Yesterday morning, out of nowhere, she sat me down and told me she needed to confess something. She started crying and said she did something terrible. While they were out, the group ended the night at a club, which I didn't think much of initially. But then she told me she'd been drinking a lot, and after her friends left her at the bar for a while, she got caught up talking to one of the bartenders. She said she ended up going to a back room and she gave him a blowjob. I was stunned. She said she felt horrible about it, that it was a mistake, and that she'd never done anything like this before. She insisted that she was drunk, wasn't thinking clearly, and regretted it instantly. She's been apologizing every day since, saying she wants to make it work, and has already scheduled a marriage counseling session for us tomorrow. But I don't know how to feel. My emotions are all over the place. I keep wondering why this happened. Was I not enough for her? Did I fail her in some way? I can't eat, and when I do, I feel sick. I cry randomly, and the worst part is, I still love her. One moment, I want to yell at her, and the next, I want to hug her and pretend this never happened. She seems committed to fixing this, and part of me wants to try, but the trust is gone. How do you rebuild after something like this? How do I stop feeling like this was my fault? Update. A week ago, I posted here after discovering that my wife had cheated on me with a bartender. Despite the pain, I decided to forgive her and work on our marriage. I love her, and because the affair was so short and she came clean right away, I wanted to move forward. However, I also wanted answers for closure, which she struggled to provide. She claimed she couldn't recall the details due to how drunk she was at the time. I found this to be odd because she was not that drunk when she got home that night, and she wasn't hungover the following morning. I tried to make peace with her vague responses about when it started and what happened, but still kept pushing. And recently, I learned the full truth, and it's made me do a 180. During one of our conversations this week, I pressed her again for details. She finally admitted that the affair wasn't just a blowjob like I'd been initially led to believe. Instead, it was a one-night stand with sex, multiple times within a short duration. She said it only happened that one time and that she never met him again. She didn't tell me the full truth earlier because she was ashamed and scared that I wouldn't forgive her if I knew she'd slept with someone else, even just once. She maintains that it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, and that it hasn't happened in the 15 years since we got married. Now, I feel like I'm starting over. The trust I was slowly rebuilding has been shattered again. I kept replaying everything in my head, what they did, why it happened, and how it even got to that point. I feel like I've been manipulated into forgiving her without knowing the full story from the start. I've been consumed by thoughts of that night, why she did it, what it means for us, and whether there's still more she hasn't told me. What should I even do now? Final update. I've made the decision to end my marriage and move out. For those who followed my story, my wife had an incident at a club recently and she came clean soon afterwards. At first, I gave her a chance to rebuild trust and work on the marriage, but the damage was done. I hired a lawyer and told her I'm moving forward with divorce. During this time, her mental health declined, and she was placed on suicide watch for 2 weeks. While I don't wish harm on anyone, this situation made me realize how much the relationship's been holding me back. Her guilt and emotional struggles over the past weeks had worn me down. She brought this upon herself, but her family seems to think I should come back to the house and take care of her because she's still my wife. I've given them a firm no. There's a limit to what anyone should endure. At some point, you have to stop trying to fix something that's irreparably broken and focus on building a better future. Thank you to those who provided insight and support along the way. It's time to move forward and focus on what's next. Story 2. Yesterday, it all came out. I'm devastated, but feel guilty for resenting her. Not sure if this is the right place, but I just discovered this sub recently and need to get some stuff off my chest. Around 9 months ago, our relationship, year and 9 months at this point, had become stale, and we both realized it. Working out problems to get out of the same routine and spark up the flame again was always a one-sided effort. She never attempted to change when I tried my hardest. 3 months later, she's been super distant. I have to ask for a kiss and practically beg for sex. She starts going over to a friend's house, a party house, which, yes, red flag, and I expressed my concerns. It only got worse, telling me not to worry and that she wouldn't do anything, and her stance on cheating. She then started to dress skimpier and sexier. I would ask who she dressed like that for, and she got defensive. A week or so rolls by of her being out all hours and very little time seeing each other until I come home from work, I work nights, and see 2 pair of feet in my bed. She drunkenly made out with him and was being nice, giving him a place to crash. They were in their underwear. 2 weeks after I cut it off, we still have to live together, much less sleep in the same room. She decides she made a mistake and wants to be with me still. We reconciled, but it took a toll on me. She flirted with him, so it was planned and everything, and she just got drunk for the excuse. Fast forward to a month ago, and I'm raising concerns whether or not she loves me anymore. I have to ask for a kiss. She barely touches me, and we just don't have sex. This goes on until a week and a half ago when one of her friends are moving away, so she wants to spend as much time over at a party house as possible. Working nights, I sleep evenings. We're about a half hour from town, where party house is, and she knows it bothers me when she's out too late, and knows I've been growing suspicious. Coming home at 2 a.m. or even staying the night with no word or call. She ghosted my calls, and I got a text 30% of the time saying, "I'm coming home, I'll be home soon," type stuff. However, never true. Yesterday, I pester her if she's even in love with me. She says no. It's out. This was on the way to drop her off at work. I had to wait to stop crying in the parking lot to drive back home. She even made plans after work to hang out with someone, knowing I want to talk. I even texted her so. I almost begged her to cancel, and she did. All evening, insisting she wasn't cheating or fooling around, just with friends all those nights. I've always respected her privacy, but my head got all screwed up and I demanded to look through her texts with a friend she's been texting and who frequents the party house. After hours of persisting and her deleting some messages, I read them all. She started the flirting and she came on to him. She told people we weren't dating, different friend group, knowing I was at home worried about who I thought was my girlfriend. She ended up having drunken sex with this guy and another girl, downplaying it, saying it wasn't even good or long and that this other girl started it. I'm devastated. I'm such a chump for trusting her. She even has the audacity to ask me to stay living with her and give her a ride to work tomorrow. I still love and care about you, and you're my best friend. I'm so furious and overflowing with grief and sorrow. I'm a mess, but have been very stern, almost mean, but civil towards her. The resentment is strong, but I still can't help hoping there's something for us still. I want to cut ties and go no contact, knowing it's best, but it's not an option yet. Sorry for any mistakes or formatting. On mobile. First off, you're not a chump for trusting someone you cared about. That's what you're supposed to do in a relationship. It's on her for abusing that trust. You put in effort to fix things, communicated your concerns, and tried to make it work. She didn't. That says everything about her and nothing about you. The way she's handled this is just as bad, if not worse, than the cheating itself. She lied, downplayed what happened, hid messages, and basically strung you along while continuing to act selfishly. On top of that, she's asking you to stay living with her and still give her rides to work? That's so disrespectful. She wants to keep you around for her convenience, and that's not fair to you. Right now, you're stuck in this living situation, and I know going full contact isn't an option yet, but you need to start working on an exit plan. Whether it's finding a friend or family member to stay with or making arrangements to get out of this toxic environment, you need space from her to think clearly and start healing. The longer you stay, the harder it'll be to move on. In that whole, I still love you and want to be friends thing, nah. That's just her trying to ease her guilt and keep you around as a safety net. Don't fall for it. She didn't prioritize you when it mattered, and she doesn't get to have you in her life now that she's destroyed the relationship. You deserve way better than this. It's gonna suck for a while, but cutting ties is the only way you're gonna find peace. Take this as a chance to rebuild and put yourself first. You'll get through this, even if it doesn't feel like it right now.